From New Zealand to Montenegro and everything in between, today we will look at 10 countries Americans can easily move to with the snap of their fingers. Well, not quite, but you get the idea. To determine how easy moving to each country would be, we examined numerous factors, including the cost of living there, visa and work permit requirements, language barriers, and the general quality of life there. Here is what we found. 10. Germany. Germany is a country that the average US citizen can easily move to with its top-tier education system, economic stability that many other countries can only dream of, universal healthcare, and good work hours. With all these benefits in mind, it's easy to see why Germany is a prime candidate among European countries Americans can easily move to. You can easily gain residency in the country by either studying, finding employment, or investing, but financial stability is one thing that will be essential. You might also need to learn German culture and language for ease of communication. Moving to the country will require some commitment, as you will have to learn some German if you want to work, live, and pretty much go through everyday life in Germany. However, it will all be worth it because the reward is a great standard of living, excellent career opportunities, and probably the shortest possible working hours in the world. Germany also has a low crime rate and high employment rate, and even better is the fact that it's pretty easy to get a residence permit. To stay permanently in the country, you will need to have a standard residency for 5 years, be proficient in the German language, and take an integration course. As of now, there are more than 100,000 Americans living in Germany, and it's not rocket science why. With so many Americans already in the country, finding an expat community and making friends will be relatively easy in any city. 9. Mexico. Mexico is one of the easiest, most affordable, and probably one of the most common countries for an American to move to. Right now, over 1.5 million Americans call Mexico home, and it's safe to say that they are onto something. Mexican cities like Cancun and Puerto Vallarta have always been hubs for retired Americans, as they boast of beautiful scenery, friendly locals, affordable amenities, and just about everything you would need to live a peaceful life. When moving to Mexico, you'll receive a renewable 6-month tourist visa on arrival, and after that, applying for residency is relatively simple. For temporary residency in the country, you would just have to prove that you've made about $2,000 each month for the last 6 months. And for those who seek a more permanent situation, you can apply for a permanent residency after you renew your temporary residency for up to 4 years. You can, of course, speed up the process by spending more pesos. Mexico is a beautiful country with a lot of incredible diversity. There are white beaches, tall mountains, and cities of all kinds that make living here as much of an adventure as settling down. It's also easy to find expats all over the country. Seeing that over 1.5 million Americans are already living there, this would be a big help with the language barrier, as Spanish is the main spoken language among locals. Perhaps the best thing about Mexico is that your dollars go a long way in pesos, which means moving to the country will come with some luxuries. 8. Australia. Australia is one of the biggest and most diverse countries in the world, from its pristine beaches to wild nature and modern cities. The land of the long weekend is indeed a country that has everything you could need. Moving to Australia is relatively easy for several reasons. For one, English is the country's official language, so there's no language barrier to worry about. Another reason is that there are multiple options for work visas that you can apply for, all reasonably accessible to workers and investors. The education and healthcare systems here are among the best that the world has to offer, so a family should have no worries when thinking of moving to the country. There is a skills shortage in the otherwise thriving economy of Australia, and while this may sound bad, it makes it relatively easy for relocating Americans to find local employment. You can gain a permanent resident visa to live here through family, work, business, investment, or a retirement option. The living costs in the country are pretty similar to the US, so you might not be saving more money, but on the plus side, Australia gives you an incredible quality of life. There are a lot of expat communities in major cities like Melbourne and Sydney, and Australians are known to be very welcoming, so you can count on making a lot of friends here. 7. Canada. Canada is a country that shares the world's largest land border with the United States, so it should be no surprise that moving there is not only easy, but also quite common. One of the things Canada has going for it is that it offers some of the highest quality of life in the world. Its top cities like Vancouver, Toronto, and Calgary often rank high in the most livable cities. The country also has good education, stable healthcare, and some of the most beautiful scenery in the world. To move to Canada, you will need a job offer to get a work visa, unless you have been studying in the country for the last 12 months. 80% of applications for permanent residency to the country are processed within 6 months, making the Canadian immigration system one of the fastest immigration systems in the world. The cost of living here is very similar to what it is in America, and about 85% of the country speaks English, so there's no language barrier to worry about. 6. Thailand. Traveling to Thailand has become a favorable way to spend a vacation period for Americans, so it's safe to say that the country does have some experience in attracting people from the United States with its welcoming government and its low cost of living. Thailand has fast become the ideal place to move to in Southern Asia, and there is already a strong expat community that you will find in the country's beautiful cities. Cities like Bangkok and Chiang Mai already have large established expat communities, and the locals are friendly as most people are in Thailand. Americans can easily move to Thailand by getting their visa based on retirement, employment, investment, business, or marriage. The language barrier might be an issue though, with only 25% of the population speaking English, but the country is very accommodating. You'll find a lot of signs in English, especially in the big cities. 5. Singapore. Singapore is another ideal place to move to in Southern Asia. Getting a work visa or permanent residency is relatively easy in Singapore, especially for mid-level and high-level skilled workers. Depending on your career field, you might have to get a job offer to secure entry into the country, and once you're there, you'd be enjoying the very high quality of life that Singapore is known for. The education system in the country is among the best in the world and also has a noticeably low crime rate. About 25% of the country's population comprises of expats from around the world, so moving here is just as common as it is easy. 4. The Czech Republic. The first thing that makes you want to move to the Czech Republic is the beauty of the country. Its capital city of Prague is the 6th most visited city in all of Europe, and for good reason. Despite the country's beauty and booming economy, getting a visa or work permit here is very easy. Their visa allows you great freedom in the country, and you simply need proof of funds of about $5,500, health insurance, and a business plan related to the country to get one. The cost of living here is also relatively low compared to the US by about 50%, so you can expect to have a higher standard of living at a lower cost. Before you start making plans to relocate, we'd recommend learning the Czech language for ease of communication. 3. Montenegro. Montenegro is a country that has seen a massive amount of growth in tourism and immigration since it became independent in 2006. The country attracts a ton of people with its beautiful weather, medieval-like cities, rugged mountaintops, and beautiful coastline that spreads along the Adriatic Sea. Montenegro has a set of easy laws when it comes to gaining residency in the country. You can simply buy a home or start a business to gain temporary residency, and after 5 years, you can become a permanent resident, and then 5 years after that, you can become a citizen. Another appealing thing about moving to the country of Montenegro is that your dollar goes the extra mile here. You would be living a life of royalty with the country's low cost of living, which is about 50% less than America's. Language being a barrier might be a bit of a worry here, as only about 25% of the population speaks English, but spending some time living there and taking 1 or 2 courses will help you get up to speed. If you need one more reason to move to Montenegro, you should consider the possibility of gaining an EU citizenship. 2. New Zealand. New Zealand has always been a top choice for Americans in need of a change of scenery. It's possible for anyone to move there. However, it's easier for those between the ages of 18 and 30 with about $3,000 in the bank. All you have to do is apply for a working holiday visa that gives you 12 months to live as a local. During this time, you can choose to work the whole year or just half and study for the rest of the 6 months. For those over 30, it can be a bit more complicated. You'll need to either be employed in a local establishment, be a skilled worker, or have some money to invest, to name a few. With all that said, the country of New Zealand is evidently an easy place to move to, and it stands out from other countries with its powerful economy. New Zealand has an economy that gives you a variety of investment opportunities in sectors like real estate, biotech, agricultural research, and more. Living in the capital city of Auckland costs about the same as living in Seattle, so the cost of living isn't all that different from what you may be used to. There are, however, some considerable benefits for families who want to live in New Zealand. These benefits include a quality healthcare system, a good balance between work and personal life, and a better balance between the city and nature. New Zealand also has a notably good education system and was rated the second safest country on the planet in 2022. You should know that US came in 129th. Moving to New Zealand means that you get to enjoy the country's high quality of life, and if you are worried about missing home, you should aim to move to one of the many expat communities in big cities like Auckland and Wellington. 1. Greece. Living in Greece is truly what dreams are made of, with its stunning white beaches, tons of islands to explore, great food, and the low cost of living. It is simply a Mediterranean paradise. It is also a country that is easy to move to from America due to its Greece Golden Visa program, which gives you the option of a 5-year residence permit in exchange for real estate investments starting at around $250,000. If you don't have that much cash lying around for investment, you could go through the standard procedures of applying for a visa, which is just as easy as any of the other countries on this list. About 51% of the people in Greece speak English, so communicating here shouldn't be too difficult. However, like any country, it would be worth learning the primary language of the country you're in. Now, what about the countries where you can live big on $1,000 a month? Watch this video to discover those.